One of the things so Endless OS doesn't just have like the distro itself. There's also this endless key thing. What is that?
Hmm.
I saw it on the page. I didn't really understand it completely.
Yeah, that comes from kind of a change in our philosophy, moving
Mhm,
from a startup. I say startup, but it ran for 6 or 7 years, but certainly a kind of investment backed for profit company
mhm,
where our idea was basically that we'd solved all the problems in NSOS,
mhm.
and then if you got NSOS, then we would be getting all of the solutions out to all of the people who use NSOS. So it was
Right.
kind of like a sort of winner takes all thing, like
Mhm, mhm,
maximizing stakeholder value. Like you can get your content and your apps into our OS, and if you're running our OS, you're getting everything that we've kind of thought of,
mhm,
which makes sense for a kind of investment strategy where you want to have a nice graph that goes up and to the right, and people
mhm,
shower money in, and it's great. In terms of a non-profit, where actually we don't specifically care about people using our product,
mhm,
we care about the outcome of people using our product. So we care about, are people accessing learning resources or playing games that teach them stuff? Are
mhm,
people able to use their computer offline? Are people able to trust their desktop? So these questions are kind of, they're at a meta level. It's not just build the product, ship the product. It's more to do with kind of just untangling some of the threads of what we're doing and
mhm,
working out what's the logical way to get our work on the desktop to as many people as possible.
mhm,
Actually, just getting people to ship and to use NSOS is not the easiest way to do that.
mhm.
Going to GNOME and then spending our time and effort, researching and helping to contribute, and the stuff that Georges has been doing. And we've had various designers working in the design team and actually kind of helping to research and improve the GNOME desktop for everyone.
Mhm.
That takes longer, probably costs us a bit more than just putting some patches. I mean, it's a near-term, long-term thing.
Mhm.
In the long term, going upstream saves you money. But
Right.
in the short term, if you want it to look just like that, it's quicker to just patch it or write an extension or something. And Endless is kind of zigzag between those. But this idea of taking everything that we were doing and saying, okay, great, to get this desktop out to as many people and make it as usable as possible,
Mhm,
there's some, I don't know, tens of thousands of NSOS users, but there are probably some tens of millions of GNOME users,
mhm,
right? So
mhm.
we can go into a much bigger audience if we take our work over there. And we kind of applied the same logic to all the other things we were doing as well. So, we had these applications and a whole pipeline for downloading websites and putting them into applications and things. We thought, well, if we support that on different platforms and not just NSOS, then we can extend the reach of that idea that you can use storage and kind of offline content as a way to correct for internet availability,
Right.
whether that's infrastructure or cost or reliability or any combination of those. So it's just about kind of taking the different ideas that Endless had, everything built into one box, and just saying, okay, how do we logically take that idea out to more people
Mhm,
and deliver more impact with that concept?
mhm.
So that's why some of the things are kind of playing outside of NSOS, and we still have NSOS that brings everything together kind of in a sort of serving suggestion from us.
Mm. So you've been involved in Endless OS for how long now?
7 years,
7 years.
probably just about to come up to 8. Yeah. I
So
suppose I started a little bit before I started because I was working as a consultant. So
right,
it's
right.
probably 8 at this point, but
Mhm.
certainly 7 as a member of staff.
So had you always been interested in doing something that has the sort of effect that Endless OS has? Was this something that you realized you wanted to do later in life, or how did you sort of make your way to doing this? Have you thought about this question before? Is the better place to start?
Um, I mean, no, I mean, if you'd asked me 15 years ago or 20 years ago or something, I would have said that, free software is going to change the world.
Mhm,
And as long as everyone gets a written copy of the GPL along with their television, then, their life will be amazing.
mhm,
And, working in Calabria for 10 years, and, we would go into these tech companies and they would be doing the most ghastly things with their software, and their strategy would make no sense. And they would ask us to come and solve their problems for them. And we're like, well, your problem is your strategy makes no sense. Your SDK doesn't work. Your developers hate you. Your product's not that great. You're marking it wrong. You're a little bit late. Your competitors are faster than you. And here's the project you asked us to do.
mhm.
And we would get paid. We would do this great work. We would put patches in GStream or Wayland or whatever. But then eventually you could kind of see that you're kind of building the, another terrible analogy, whatever. But this kind of, this square is green. This is working. and we've delivered that, and we've done a great job, and we've got, a great team working on it. But everything else is just like on fire, and it's never going to work. So you could do a completely successful project, deliver some really amazing technical work, get paid for it, pay the team, keep the lights on, and still know that it was going to affect nothing, basically.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter whether we optimize WebKit in this TV, right? If we do a great job of that, it's still a web browser and a TV. And effectively, no one wants a web browser and a TV, but everyone has to have one because everyone else has got one. So they could just license Opera, or get Brave to put some like crypto mining in your TV or whatever, right?
Yeah, sure.
Because everyone's just going to turn that off and never connect their TV to the internet, because no one actually wanted smart TVs. But and yet smart TV, whatever, pays this money to Collabora and do these projects. I think, well, even though the source code to this TV is available, functionally, no one reflashes their TV.
Right.
Or to a first approximation, like 0.0000.
Yeah, there's going to be one person like, I've reflashed my TVs. Like, we're not talking about you.
I went to the office and I asserted my GPL rights, and I got the bootloader, and I have now installed Manjaro on my television or whatever, right?
Yeah.
All power to that person. But in the grand scheme of things, I was just thinking, I've been very lucky in life. I'm here in Cambridge. I studied in Cambridge. Nice house, lovely family. There's many things that have gone well for me, and I'm sitting on top of a lot of kind of privilege and opportunity that so many people in the world don't have. And so I kind of wanted to find a way to, not just make it about the software and the source code and things, but make it about, in a sense, the ideology underlying that. Like, why do we care about people being able to get the source code or trust their computer or whatever? It's to do with empowerment. It's to do with accountability. It's to do with what Enders talks about, digital agency. And so this idea of are you controlling technology, or is technology controlling you? And these are kind of much bigger questions at stake. Do people know how computers impact their lives, or how decisions that affect their lives are made using computers? Do people know how they're done with AI or machine learning or whatever? And even like, there's a whole thing there of people researching and using and creating stuff, and actually understanding how it works is like a separate research stream. So there's a research team at OpenAI who are using like an older version of GPT to explain how the newer version of GPT works, and this kind of stuff. And that's choosing your benefits application, or whether you get credit, or how your kind of healthcare request is being processed through the system or whatever. So just technology is this big thing that just happens to so many people. And so this idea of empowering people with kind of accountability and understanding just became much more important to me, as I realized, like, I'm very lucky in that technology has brought me all of these great things, but also I understand a lot about technology and how it impacts people. So this idea of just taking that out and kind of trying to improve the opportunities that people had, and improve the kind of trust that people could have in technology.
That was a good answer.